What if you could retire early on dividends and legally keep almost all of it? No complicated offshore setups, no loopholes, just living in the right country. Because there are places in the world where foreign income is taxed at 0%. But here's the catch. Almost nobody actually understands how this works, and if you get it wrong, you could end up paying more tax, not less. And one of the countries on this list is far easier to move to than you think. But it comes with a hidden rule that changes everything. Most people assume once passive income starts flowing, governments take their cut. But that's not always true, because in some countries, the government literally doesn't care where your money comes from. If it wasn't earned there, they don't tax it. And that's where this gets really powerful, but also where most people get this completely wrong, because a lot of move abroad and pay zero tax advice online is dangerously incomplete, and that mistake can be expensive. So, before getting into the list, there are two things you need to understand. First, 0% tax does not mean tax-free living. You'll still pay VAT, property tax, and everyday costs. But what matters is this. If your income is earned outside the country, many of these governments don't touch it. Dividends, interest, overseas investments, untaxed. And this is where it starts to get interesting. Because not every country applies this the same way. And one of them has a rule that catches people out all the time. Second, if you're American, this changes everything. Because the US taxes citizens globally, meaning you can move anywhere on this list and still owe tax back home. There are ways to reduce it, but this is not something you want to guess your way through. And then there's one final concept almost nobody talks about. Remittance rules. Some countries only tax foreign income if you bring it in that same year. Wait longer. And it may be completely tax-free, but here's the problem. Most people don't realize this until it's too late. And one country on this list looks perfect until you understand this detail. So now, let's get into it. Because the first country is one of the most overlooked. Panama might be one of the easiest ways in the world to legally pay zero tax. And most people completely ignore it, and that's a mistake. Foreign dividends, not taxed. Foreign pensions, not taxed. Investment income, not taxed. But here's where it gets interesting. Panama has been doing this for decades. This isn't new. This isn't a loophole. It's just how their system works. Cost of living? In Panama City, you're looking at roughly $2,000 to $3,500 per month. But step outside the capital, and that can drop closer to $1,500. And this is where things start to shift, because now you're combining low tax with low cost. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because this next part is what makes Panama stand out from almost everywhere else. Residency. Panama has one of the easiest residency options on this list. The Pensionado visa. If you can show just $1,000 per month in lifetime income, you can qualify. And that includes pensions, social security, and certain annuities. But here's the catch most people miss. If your income is purely from dividends, you may need to structure it differently to qualify. And there's another trade-off. Panama City isn't a quiet beach paradise. It's busy, urban, fast-paced. For some people, that's perfect. For others, not so much. But the next country takes things even further. The UAE is where things shift up a level. Because this isn't just low tax, this is zero tax across the board. No income tax, no capital gains tax, no dividend tax, nothing. And this is why high net worth investors quietly move here. Because at a certain level of income, this completely changes the maths. For a lot of people, this is the difference between retiring in 20 years or retiring now. But here's the trade-off. Dubai isn't cheap. A comfortable lifestyle can easily run $4,000 to $7,000 per month or more. So this isn't about saving money. It's about keeping more of what you already have. And this is where people start doing the maths. Because if your portfolio is large enough, this can outweigh the higher cost completely. Residency usually comes through the golden visa, often via property or business. But there's another factor most people don't consider. The lifestyle is very different. Different laws, different culture. For some people, that's not an issue. For others, it's a deal breaker. But the next country removes one of the biggest downsides of the UAE. The Cayman Islands offer something very few places can. And this is where it gets almost extreme. No income tax, no capital gains tax, no inheritance tax. This is one of the only places in the world where you can legally pay zero tax on everything. Which means you could earn millions in dividends and legally pay zero tax on it. So why doesn't everyone move here? Because this is where reality hits. Everything is expensive. Groceries, rent, utilities. A comfortable lifestyle starts around $5,000 per month and climbs quickly. Residency also requires investment, usually through property, and often a significant one. But here's the upside. You're in a stable, English-speaking environment, right next to the United States. For the right person, this is one of the cleanest setups in the world. And if you're curious what it actually costs to get to places like this, the Kiwi flight link below compares routes across multiple airlines. It often finds cheaper options than booking direct, but the next country flips this completely. Paraguay surprises almost everyone because it offers zero tax on foreign income at a fraction of the cost. We're talking roughly $1,000 to $1,800 per month to live comfortably. And residency? One of the easiest on this list, often with a relatively small deposit. But here's the trade-off. Paraguay isn't glamorous. It's not Europe. It's not a beach destination. Infrastructure can be inconsistent. But financially, this is one of the strongest plays on this list. And the next country gives you a completely different lifestyle. Malaysia might be the best balance of cost and quality here. Modern cities, world-class healthcare, incredible food, and relatively low living costs. But here's where you need to pay attention. Rules have changed before and may change again. So this is one where you need to stay updated. Cost of living, around $1,500 to $2,500 per month in Kuala Lumpur, less outside. And one of the biggest advantages? English is widely spoken, which makes everything easier. So you get low cost, high quality, and a very comfortable lifestyle. But the next country is even cheaper. Georgia has quietly become a hotspot for remote workers and early retirees. And once you see the numbers, it makes sense. Foreign income is generally not taxed, and the cost of living can be incredibly low, around $800 to $1,500 per month. That's cheaper than what some people pay just for rent in major cities for an entire lifestyle. Tbilisi is a genuinely livable city. Great food, strong cafe culture, reliable internet. But there is a trade-off. Georgia sits close to Russia, and for some people, that matters. For others, it's a trade worth making. But the final country on this list might be the easiest transition of all. The Bahamas keeps things simple. No income tax, no capital gains tax, no inheritance tax. And here's why it stands out. It's just 50 miles from Florida. So for many people, this feels familiar. Same time zone, English speaking, easy access back to the US. But there's still a trade-off. Nassau is expensive, $3,000 per month or more, but outside the main areas, costs can drop and life becomes much quieter. And that's why the Bahamas works so well, because it combines simplicity, location, and zero tax. And if you're seriously considering any of these countries, the Expedia link below is the easiest way to compare places to stay, whether that's a short visit or testing life there long term. Here's the reality. Zero tax on foreign income isn't a loophole. It's a system, and it's already being used by thousands of people who figured out how to live in the right place. But here's the part that matters most. If you get this wrong, you don't just lose the benefit, you can end up paying more than before. And right now, one of these countries is still massively overlooked, which means the people who move first get the biggest advantage. But that window doesn't stay open forever. If you're seriously thinking about making a move like this, there are resources below that help you get started.